Assalamu alaikum and welcome to a new edition of Dr. Nutrition. Today we're going to talk about a topic that I have been asked this topic just 2 days ago, which is related to calcium in layers. So eggshell quality in layers. And this is a very complicated topic because usually I speak for that topic for 1.5 hours. So I will try to summarize it as much as possible. In order for us to understand the problem of eggshell quality, we have to step back and to point out a few things. First, where are the calcium reserves inside of the body of the hen? Actually, the calcium reserves are composed of three topics or three items. The first one, we have the cortical bone, which makes the structure of the bone for us, for the hen, for everybody. So that's the cortical bone. The second one is called the trabecular bone, which the trabecular bone is like the pillars inside of the bone that makes the structure of the bone hold. Okay. The third one is called the medullary bone, and the medullary bone is like a gooey substance. It's like, it's used as an immediate source of calcium for the hen when it goes to the egg production. But we're going to talk about this right now. So when does the formation of the cortical bone happen? So the cortical bone, or the structure bone, basically happens inside of the egg itself when it's in the hatchery. The cortical bone starts as a cartilage at day 5 or 6 and then goes all the way until day 13 when the ossification starts to happen and when the structure of the bone starts to form. Number 2, the trabecular bone soon after follows. So it starts in the hatchery, but then after hatching, then you start seeing the trabecular bone forming on a rapid scale when the bird is in the pullet phase. The third one is the medullary bone, and this is the latest stage. The medullary bone forms after the sexual maturity, or let's say on the onset of sexual maturity. So at week 14, 15, we start the light stimulation. During that time, we start also reserving the calcium and phosphorus through the medullary bone. When the bird goes to the egg production, so basically the bird have two sources of calcium, either the calcium in the feed or the calcium that they have as a reserve. Don't worry about that. There is calcium also in the blood, there is calcium also in the intracellular, but this is a different scenario. I'm talking about the calcium that is going toward the eggshell quality and the egg production itself. Basically, the medullary bone is what we call the main source of the calcium reserves. So why is that? Because every day the bird utilize some of that medullary bone for egg formation and eggshell formation. But the problem is that they start as well depositing medullary bone or building or replenishing that medullary bone again. What is the problem? The problem is that the rate of utilization of the medullary bone is higher than the rate of replenishing or the rate of rebuilding the medullary bone. So that's why at roughly the week 60 or 65 of egg production, some hens we start seeing that the medullary bone is already depleted. So, but the bird's still laying an egg. So where did she can get the calcium and phosphorus that she needs for this? So she starts to pull the calcium and phosphorus from trabecular bone and then cortical bone. When she starts pulling the calcium from the trabecular bone, then you start seeing the cage layer fatigue, the problem of cage layer fatigue. And when she starts pulling from the cortical bone, then that is recumbency, total recumbency, or sometimes death as well. There is another reason, which we know that in order for the calcium and phosphorus to be absorbed from the intestine, they need vitamin D. All of us knows that. So vitamin D is very crucial for calcium and phosphorus absorption from the intestinal wall. But the problem is with the vitamin D that we give to the bird is inactive form. It has to be activated in two steps, one in the liver and the other one in the kidney. So the liver is very efficient, okay? Very efficient in converting the normal vitamin D to something called 25-hydroxycholecalciferol. So the first step of activation of vitamin D is very efficient to be done in the liver. The problem mostly is coming from the kidney, that the kidney is not able to activate that second metabolite of vitamin D. Why? Because the older the hen goes, same for human, same for hens as well, same for many other animals, there is a receptors for that gene that is responsible for the second activation of vitamin D that's in the kidney. But those receptors, they are controlled by various factors. One of them is estrogen. So when the estrogen is lower, when the bird goes to an older stage or to a higher production weeks, then you start seeing that the receptors are insensitive to estrogen. Okay? So with this happen, that means that they lose their sensitivity. That means the production of that enzyme is lower when the bird is older. That's also a second reason why we see the problem of calcium and phosphorus absorption. Most of the veterinarians unfortunately treat this situation with increasing the calcium and phosphorus. Unfortunately, this is not shouldn't be the case, because already you have enough calcium and phosphorus. The eggshell, in order to form an eggshell for the hen, you need about 2.2 grams of calcium only. While we are giving, as nutritionists, we are giving the hen 4 grams of calcium every day. So at 4 grams, you have already more than 100%, 2x, okay, the calcium that the bird need. So the problem is not that the calcium is not available. The problem is that there is too much calcium and the body is not able to absorb it. That's problem from the feed, the calcium that's coming from the feed. Or the second problem, that we didn't do a very good job, unfortunately, during the pullet phase in preparing the calcium reserves. So if we failed in one of those two scenarios, then we start seeing that in a broken eggshell or hairline fractures, or God forbid, we start seeing that in like cage layer fatigue or increasing mortality. That's a huge loss. So now when we see the industry is going to 100-week production and beyond, there should be a creative solution for that. And there is a lot of solutions for that. Some of them are a vitamin D metabolite that bypasses the kidney, which basically supports those kind of problems. But what I would advise is that we need to pay more attention on the pullet phase, on the calcium and phosphorus deposition on the, as we said, cortical bone, the trabecular bone, and the medullary bone after week 14 till the first egg laying. Okay, believe me, if you take care about this pullet phase, you will have a very good production. I have seen that times and times again. People are until 90 weeks of production, and their production was like 85% egg production, and the broken egg with like very small quantity, like 1 or 2% broken eggs. So yeah, like not too much as people that are complaining at week 60 or 65. So that's my advice for today. Thank you so much for listening.